Apologies, guys. Thanks for dialing in there. We had a slight technical issue there, so we'll be kicking off now in a couple of minutes. Okay, Richard, you're there. I can see it. So have you everything ready at this stage for your session?
Go. Yeah, just going to share the screen now.
Good stuff. Lots of attendees on there, which is great.
You can see that Des coming up now.
Not yet. No, yeah, yeah, you're there now. Yeah, that's perfect, Richard. Yeah. Okay, you're on there. So
great. Okay, thanks, Des. Thanks for that.
No problem.
And you're okay to run the poll as well.
Yeah, I can run the poll for you.
Okay. Thanks for that, Des, and thanks for joining in on this webinar. Guess it's still a very strange time, and people are getting used to virtual working, virtual webinars, and business being on pause for now. And it's a very tricky time for most businesses. Some are just, as I said, on pause, but some might find it very difficult to survive this. And then other businesses are absolutely thriving. So all you need to do is go to some of the supermarkets or pharmacies and you can see how busy they are. But what about the businesses that do the screens for the shops and the pharmacies? They're having an unprecedented busy time. So some people are thriving through this. Some people are struggling through it.
So you're busy there, are you?
So
are you working or are you off?
Des, you're not on mute.
Okay. Any chance you could
put Des on mute there? So the real challenge that I'm going to be addressing today is, yes, how we survive through this, but it's also then how we get the business back up and running once the health crisis part of this is over. And there's no doubt there's a lot of economic challenges that we're going to face, but how do we get our businesses positioned to get back up and running as quickly as possible? So there's 11 steps I'm going to take you through, and what I would hope that you'll get out of this is lots of notes or ideas or things that maybe you had been thinking about, or maybe you need to start thinking about or start putting into action. So make sure you've got a pen and paper and that you capture as much information as you possibly can from this. There will be time at the end for some questions and answers. So in the question and answer bar at the bottom of the screen, if you type your questions in there, we get to those at the end. Our goal as Action Coach is to help as many businesses get through this as we possibly can, and to put plans in place to not just survive but to thrive on the other side of this. One of our points has been to plan your way through this, and not just to panic, not just to sit there hoping it's going to be over soon or waiting for it to be over. It's to actually put a solid plan in place, and to also ask for help. There's lots of help out there. It's make sure you're asking for help. Sometimes we can be too proud or too slow to ask for help. So make sure you ask for help. And with that in mind, we have a number of supports that we put in place. One being a web chat. So you can go on to actioncoachireland.com and engage on our web chat. And if you've got questions or concerns or issues with relation to your business, type them in there, and one of our coaches or team will be able to get back to you. We're also keeping an updated page on the Action Coach Ireland website with all the various different supports from government and so on that are available. So if you're looking for a resource as to, where can I find out what I'm entitled to or what's available, we're constantly updating that. we're running these webinars every day, try and get some education out there, get some help out there. And tied to that, if there's support that you feel you need after this, or you've got questions you want answered, every coach in Action Coach across the world is offering 5 free hours of coaching to give back and try and help, again, as many businesses as possible. And next week, we have another educational series put together by Action Coach and its founder, Brad Sugars, on 10 things that you need to be doing right now to survive and thrive over the course of the next few weeks and months. So before I get started into the main content, I'd like to just run a quick poll, and I see Sandra's there now. Sandra, could you run that poll for us? So what I'd like you to do is, are you in a peak or a valley? Are you on a peak where you can see clearly ahead what you expect, what's going to happen, where you need to be, what you need to be doing, or are you in a valley where you can't see? So if you could start putting your answers in there, that'd be great. I'll give you another 30 seconds or so just to fill that in. I can see there's plenty of answers coming in. Well done. So just give you another few seconds. Okay, let's end it there. So out of all the results, let's see, does it come up with share the results there? So 2/3 see themselves in a valley, not too sure what's ahead, not sure what to do, whatever that is, and a third are feel they're on a peak and have a good visibility. So let's see what we can do with that over the course of this. So let's end that, and let's go into step one. There we go. Okay, so step one is positive communications. Obviously, this is a difficult time for lots of people, lots of businesses, lots of negative news out there. So how do we encourage positive communications? How do we focus on what's working and what we can do rather than what's not working and what we can't do? And that comes back to a few simple things, which is what's our vision and goals? We had maybe vision and goals set for the business for the year. They got disrupted and changed in February and obviously last month. But what are the new vision and goals? Have they changed? Have they adjusted now because of this? But to be able to communicate the vision and goals out to our team and to the marketplace, and to do it in a positive way, and to be passionate and enthusiastic about the future potential of the business. So all we're doing is pausing right now, but can we build that passion, enthusiasm for the business again? So how are you going to do that for yourself and for your business and for your team, if you've got them, to be clear about where the business is going to go? So start thinking about that and how you bring some more positive communication to it and become a stronger leader and a stronger voice. The communication to not just the team, but to customers, to suppliers. Obviously, as the shutters are up and people think we're gone out of business, we want to be out there letting them know we're not gone, we're still here, we're going to get through this and we're going to come out the other side. So again, what are you doing to make sure you've got positive communications? Is it through social media channels? Is it just picking up the phone and talking to people? But certainly be positive. Step two then is, what is the business model and what are the changes that you have to now start putting in place? What are the lots of little changes that you're going to have to do? You can see some businesses, like again, businesses that might have been doing merchandising are now putting up screens to protect frontline staff in shops and in retail, in medical centers, in offices, and so on. So a whole new business opportunity has come out of that for them. But what are the lots of little changes in the business? What about health professionals and someone like a fitness instructor or yoga teacher now doing classes online rather than face to face? So a number of little changes where new products, new services can potentially come out of this. So what are the opportunities in your business? Now is the time to be actually start testing out those. Yes, there might not be a lot of money around to spend on it, but the opportunity to try new things and market them and see what works, what doesn't work, what can build a bit of a following. So can you make some pivots in your business to change in this new marketplace? And are they products or service that give you more leverage and give you more scalability? So obviously online stuff can give you more leverage and give you scalability, but do you really embrace it, or is it just a term thing for you, or is it a whole new product or service? So be thinking about your business model and how that needs to change. Our change formula there, dissatisfaction by vision plus first steps must be greater than resistance. So anytime we want to make a change, the resistance is going to be there to any change. So how do we overcome that resistance? Well, we've got to have dissatisfaction with the current status, and we've got to have a better vision of what's ahead. And the first steps have to be easier and simple to take and clear to take. So obviously we've gone through a massive change here now. I can't believe I'm doing webinars and using Zoom non-stop for meetings. Would have had a resistance to some of that in the past, but this marketplace has meant I had to change very quickly and very dramatically. So dissatisfaction was there because there was no meetings taking place face to face. The vision was there because the technology was there. The first steps was just start using Zoom. I got a free account initially. Now I've got a paid account. Now I'm starting to become a Zoom expert, relatively speaking, certainly compared to where I was a couple of weeks ago. So again, using the change formula to understand where we're at. Are we just dissatisfied with no vision, or are we all vision with no dissatisfaction? We're not making the changes, or are those first steps clear? So understanding what you need to do to change that business model is step 2. Step 3 then is virtual is the new normal. The technology that we're using, probably very few people knew about Zoom before this. Now everybody's Zooming. We're having Zoom parties at the weekend and Zoom quizzes and so on. But being virtual now, the human side of it has changed. With everyone working from home, for some businesses, how do you manage people remotely? How do you manage people when it's all virtual? So using technology to achieve that, to help people not feel alone and isolated. How often do you need to have Zoom or even WhatsApp video meetings? We used to in business have lots of mini meetings during the day, people just stopping and chatting to each other, whether it was in an office or retail or whatever. But if that stopped, how do we make sure we have meetings to keep people on board? So how are you embracing and using technology to get things done, to help people feel connected while maintaining that social distance, to get the reporting and the planning? What sort of shared folders have you got? It was one thing in an office to have everything online in the office, but how good is it for remote working? So these are things that need to be considered and worked on now while things are paused and quiet. That leads us to step 4, and obviously a lot of people have been doing a lot of cash flow panicking and having challenges in terms of who's going to pay, who's not going to pay. How do I put all my expenses on hold and stop money going out of the account? So this is the time to be making sure all costs are cut back as much as possible if the business is on hold. Even if the business is on hold and you're still trading, it's a great time to look at getting costs under control rather than letting them run away with themselves. Also, it's a great time to start looking at how we extend our credit line, whether that's overdrafts or loans or wherever else finance can come from. And the important reason for that is not just the survival, but it's to have the funds to be able to grow and scale on the back of this. There's going to be opportunities to grow the business once we're up and running again. Because of all the disruption and because of all the noise in the marketplace, you need the credit to be able to do the right things, to be able to thrive in business. So making sure you've got good cash flow forecasting in place, and that you're availing of any government programs and support. You've negotiated with your key suppliers and partners, postponing any investments as long as you can, and changing the cost structure of the business. So when you look at the businesses that came out of the last recession and the last downturn, they're the ones who embraced technology. They're the ones who changed their business model, and how cash flow needed to come into the business. And you think of Uber and Airbnb as business models that really thrived over the last 10 years. They really embraced technology and they leveraged technology, and they got their cost model right, so that they could thrive. And they got the investment in to get them up and running and going and scale. The last point there is the selling skills that you need to be able to sell virtually, and to be able to win business and win clients in this time. Now's a great time to be practicing those skills, and learning, doing online learning, doing courses to figure out, how do I get better at selling? How do I improve the sales skills of myself and my team to be able to sell our way out of this? So that brings us to step 4, and the marketing has to shift. So how we market the business is obviously changing. And now is a time to, again, be experimenting and looking at, how does my message need to be changed or be different? It's got to be compassionate. We won't be very impressed with businesses that don't understand the pain that everyone's going through here. So compassion is very important. But how do we do much more of our marketing through virtual and viral, and do much more of it than before? Have you been doing online marketing, and how effective has it been? So lots of people might have been dabbling in it and trying it and not too sure whether it was working. So word of mouth was working much better. Maybe networking was working better. But how do we do much more of it online, and really find out what's working and what's not working? Do testing and measuring of different strategies, different headlines, different offers, and test those out now. And by knowing the numbers of what's working, then you can really focus on what needs to scale. So what are you doing to shift the marketing message from where it used to be? And then we bring it onto sales as step 6. So the tone of sales has obviously changed. There's a serious customer focus that needs to be put in place. But sales, they're the lifeblood of business. How are you going to get that lifeblood flowing again? Keep everyone positive and focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do. When you look at, say, take a car dealership, and the car dealership sales are down dramatically in March, and probably going to be down even further now in April. Nobody can physically go out and test drive a car, look at cars. So how can you do that virtually? How could a business like that get people interested in electric cars and put webinars together to sell electric cars, and educate people about how cars are going to change over the next couple of years? Car dealerships who are able to send car repair van out to your home, they'll be able to maintain relationships and get sales in rather than waiting for somebody to come into the workshop. So again, be thinking about what you can sell now rather than what you can't sell. Those relationships matter. So if people don't see you around and they're not talking to you over the next few weeks, it's very easy to think that you've gone out of business. So those relationships and how they're maintained now, more communication rather than less. Sow those seeds into the buyer's mind, the client's mind, the customer's mind I'm still here. I still care. I still want your business. And how can I help you right now? What can I do for you right now? That brings us on then to step 7, customer service and repeat business. So how do you keep all your existing clients and business right now, even though you might not be able to sell anything? How do you go above and beyond in service, in support, in knowledge share, in keeping in touch, so that you maintain those relationships so that they can get restarted again as soon as this is over? Or if you are still trading right now, again, how do you go above and beyond? Because it's going to get to be a very noisy marketplace as soon as this is over. So within a few weeks, everybody's going to be back up and running at the same time. There's going to be a lot of noise out there. It's amazing how quiet it is now with the lack of cars driving around. And so, you know, you can just imagine the marketplace with all that traffic. How do you make sure you're top of mind? So sow the seeds now, get out there and be talking to your customers and trying to understand where they're at. You know, obviously you have to make it much more virtual. Can you have virtual meetings with your customers and your clients like this? Can you set up webinars to educate them, to show them what you're doing to change and be relevant in as things get better and as the market starts to change again? Customer service, repeat business, this is where the profit is. It's all well and good getting new customers, but loyal customers coming back again and again, that's where the profit is in a business. So make sure they're being looked after now, even though it's quiet. On to step 8, and getting the most from your people, from the team around you. So mindset, a lot can be very much fear. And the longer this goes on, the potentially the more fear there is there. So how do you influence that mindset? It's focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. It's to focus on the positives and the little wins. So if we're trying to change the business model and get people using the virtual service and product offerings right now, how do we make little steps along that way? When we're changing our marketing, how do we make little steps along the way and celebrate those little steps and appreciate the efforts that people are making? When we're doing the routine stuff, you know, we can be good at that, but when we're trying something new, we can be slow, we can make mistakes. We don't want to make mistakes. Making mistakes just feeds that fear again that I can't change and I can't adapt, and you know, this is moving too fast and there's too much change for me. So to overcome those fears is celebrate the little steps that can be made and start to set new standards in terms of what can be done. So doing reviews with your team right now and see what do they need to be learning, what do they need to be new tools they need to learn, what little projects can they work on. Most people are followers, and they need leaders. They need the business owner to step up as a leader and to help them through this, and someone to follow through this. So be seen to be a leader and get the costs under control as well. So obviously people have had to take a hit in their pay packets in a lot of businesses. So how are your employees getting their costs under control so they're not under financial strain? Lead in that as well. You know, check in with them, see what they're doing, see how they're coping, and how are they coping working from home, how they're coping with this crisis, and check in with them, and get them positive and get them training and get them trying new things. And try to keep as many of your people as you possibly can. It's all well and good letting people go to keep costs under control, but when they're not working for you, they're not working for you, and it's easy to switch off. And you know what it's like trying to get back from a 2-week holiday or a 3-week holiday. It's slow to get back up and going, where we need them up to speed when they get back. So we want them ready to get back to work, and it's the work that's done now in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, to get them ready is important, especially if they have been laid off. How do you keep in touch with them? How do you get them back and ready to work again? That leads us to step 9, and working on that mindset. Obviously our days and rituals have changed. So what's your daily calendar look like? I know mine has changed with certainly a lot more online meetings. So it's making sure getting out for the walks and getting fresh air as much as possible. Um, Obviously, that's limited in terms of going outside of the house and garden, but um, it's getting that built into the daily habits and rituals. What are you doing in terms of learning and growing? What sort of courses can you do? Is it binge on Netflix, or I was saying to someone earlier, I'm going to get rid of my Netflix account because I'm spending more time on Zoom than on Netflix. Lots of great webinars and learning out there. What can your team be doing in terms of learning instead of watching Netflix? How do you turn this crisis into an opportunity from the sales, the marketing, new technology? um, Come up with ideas with the team, brainstorm with the team. How do we make this an opportunity not to be missed? So we're not focused on the crisis. Celebrate those little wins each day, and talk about them. You know, an awful lot of people. What was it? It was something like 2/3 of people before this downturn were looking around at other jobs, according to some research. So that means 2/3 of the population of the workforce are out there not happy in the job that they were in. So how do we keep that loyalty there with the team? It's by recognizing the stuff that they are doing. It's by appreciating what they are doing and not just picking up on what they're not doing. So a good habit of and daily ritual is celebrating small wins. And sometimes not watching the news. No news is good news. Um, uh, it was easy to fall into a habit there for a while of not having the dinner at the table and sitting in and watching the news to see what was going on. But it's better to be sitting at the table chatting about other stuff rather than what's on the news. That's one thing we recognize in our own house. Step 10 then is, what is the plan for the next 90 days for you? Obviously, it's a very different 90 days to maybe anything you've ever expected and planned for and have experienced before. So what is your plan for the next 90 days? A lot can change over the next 90 days. The environment's changing, the business world is changing, how we're using technology is changing, customers' expectations can be changing, these can be changing. So what is the game plan for you for the next 90 days? What will you be able to market and sell over 90 days? What kind of cash can you bring in? What do you need to change in the business before you can even thrive? You need to survive. So, you know, what can come in? How do we get some cash into the bank and keep cash in the business? What way can you deliver, and how can you charge for it, and how can you get again that cash in? How do you work with a coach or a mentor or a trainer or somebody to get you making the changes that you need to make? And then step 11 is look to invest. The stock markets are way down from where they were. So the smart investors are getting in back into some of the stocks now that are at a really good value. Companies are going to be put up for sale. Some companies just won't survive this. Some businesses won't survive. They will be put up for sale, or at least their customers will be put up for sale. So if your plan is to thrive out of this, is what are you doing to look for the new customers to maybe acquire or merge with another company so that you can scale and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. And to recognize that there's always economic cycles. We're in winter now, and we've gone through a very quick autumn or fall. The leaves fell down off those trees very, very quickly, and literally overnight. And now we're in a winter, but spring is going to come again. The shoots are probably already there, and we just need to be able to see them and to capitalize them. And spring then leads on to summer. Is how do we harvest that bounty and make sure we put cash away? Every business should have cash stuck away for the next economic cycle. So it's planning for these cycles, and it's to be quick. You know, the opportunities will be there now within the next 3 months to scale, to grow, to make up for the lack of sales over the last couple of months. so this year could turn out to be potentially just as good as you had planned. It's all coming in the last 6 months of the year rather than the first 6 months of the year. So it's to do that now. So hopefully you've made some notes there. I'm going to ask Sandra to run that poll again, and let's see if there was any shift. Are you in a peak or in a valley? So you may have thought you were in a valley at the start of this, but now you can start to see actually there is things I can work on. There is things that I can do. So if we're able to run that poll again. Don't know if I can run the poll myself.
You should see it there.
Okay, so the poll should be open again there. So have you got things that you can work on? Has that given you some more clarity about things that you could be doing? Are you still in a valley, or do you think maybe you're in a peak now? So answers are coming in there. I'll give you another 30 seconds just to finish those answers. Okay, I don't know what happened there, Sandra, but the poll ended.
Not sure. We're back.
It's back going again. So just put your answer back in again. Don't know what happened there.
No.
A little glitch.
Yeah, we're up to back up.
Okay. So I'm going to end it there now. And okay, so we've managed to move to 71% peak from what was it, 33% or give or take from the previous poll. So that's great. So there's enough people on the call here who are now seeing, okay, maybe there's some opportunities here. Maybe there's some things I need to work on. That's great. Also, just in the toolbar, make sure if you've got a question that you want answered that you pop the question in there. And that leaves us to finish up here. To get through the next 90 days, one of the things that Action Coach does with all our clients is 90-day planning and make sure they're clear about what they want to achieve over a 90-day period. So if you're not working with an Action Coach, reach out and ask for some help in what do I need to do to put a 90-day plan together. We do run courses on planning as well. So again, get with us to look at that. What I'd like you to do now is just make sure you short list the things that you're going to work on. So take a few minutes after this to just note down what are the 5 ideas you're taking out of this that you need to be working on, but get working on them straight away. Don't leave them off until next week or sometime into the future. Do them now, take action now, and while the ideas are fresh there. And then let's look and see what sort of questions have we got. So one of the first questions here is, should we pay suppliers or will we wait until we're back to normal working capacity? And that's a really great question to think about. That your suppliers are really critical to your business into the future. So I'd certainly be picking up the phone to them to say, if you're struggling to pay them, is how you're struggling and how you might be able to pay them in the future. and negotiate with them to see what they can do to help you and support you through this. If you have the cash available and the supplier really needs the cash in to help them survive, well, maybe you'll be able to pay part payment to them now and pay something later. But the important thing is to get on the phone and keep them as a supplier. Let them know where you're at, find out where they're at, and see if you can come to an agreement as to what's going to work to help both get through this, and that you're committed to them for the future as well. And sometimes it's a good idea to look at, well, how much business have you actually given them over the last 12 to 24 months, and put that into context with them. So you're struggling a little bit with a payment now, but you've paid them a lot of money over the last 12 to 24 months. You expect to pay them a lot of money over the next 12 to 24 months. So let's put this into context and say, this particular payment, we need to slow down. The important thing here is to make sure that you keep cash in your own bank account to be able to keep the business going. If all the cash is gone out of the business and then you can't even pay yourself or pay some key important bills, it's going to be very hard to get the business back up and running again. Okay, next question. What's the situation with taking back employees that we do not want? That's a really good question as well, and it's obviously, employees that have been laid off have been laid off. But if they've been laid off for more than 4 weeks, as far as I understand, they're entitled then to a redundancy payment, and you may not have the money to do that. So you really need to work this through with a HR person or with an accountant, or specifically with a coach as well that can talk you through what are the options, what can you do. Why do you not want to take them back? Is it because they wouldn't train on and learn new things? Is it because the business is down so much? You need to understand why you might not want them back, and could they come back in a different role? So obviously an awful lot more in that than just not taking them back. But there is a cost implication. Most likely, if you don't take them back, they are entitled to then a redundancy payment. And if they've been a long-term employee, then that could be quite substantial, and you may not have the cash to pay that. Okay, next question. I'm struggling with the discipline of working from home. What's the best tip? That's another great question. So again, some people are absolutely struggling to work from home when there's family, kids, lots of jobs to be done around the house. But it's also worth keeping in mind that what we might have taken 8 hours to do in work, we could possibly get done in 6 hours or maybe even 4 hours at home if we have focus time. The amount of times I hear people say, you know what, I used to leave things until I got home because then I could really focus on it. Now it's possibly hard to focus on home because there's lots of people there. But it's to put those blocks of time in the diary and say, no, I'm dedicating this 2 hours, this 3 hours, this 4 hours to work. That time is blocked out. The family all know that you need to be left alone for that. But in that 4 hours, maybe you get as much done than you might normally have got done in an 8-hour day. And it's to celebrate that and accept that and say, well, okay, well now I need to spend some time with the kids or doing other stuff. So having a default diary, what are the things that you need to be doing during the day? Doing that list of what you want to achieve, do that the night before and make sure you're really clear about what you want to achieve. I guess our routines are being pulled in a lot of different ways right now, but it's to get back to a good routine for yourself. Sometimes even having little habits like wear your office clothes when you're going to the office and get changed into your home clothes then, rather than being in your pajamas all day. So hopefully that answers some of that. another question. Happy to put anyone who wants to in touch with an amazing HR company that we worked with for years to guide on those. So yeah, again, reach out to us at Ireland@actioncoach.com or on our actioncoachireland.com website. And certainly we've got HR companies that our clients work with, and that can give a lot of good advice on how to deal with employees, whether you want to take them back, not want to take them back, and so on. Next question. I attended a planning session with Action Coach before. Is anything like this available now while we have the time? So there's going to be a lot of webinars from Action Coach coming up. There's a whole look at how we do and deliver a lot more of our courses and training and workshops online. That opens it up to a wider audience. So please keep in touch with us. Keep in touch with our events page on the Action Coach Ireland website. And there's when you registered for this as well, we obviously capture your email address. So if you're happy for us to keep in touch with you, you'll get to hear about a lot of these courses and things coming up. So we're going to have an awful lot more products that our courses that we're launching now over the next few weeks. And then I'll take one more question here. Do you know, is there any leeway when paying PRSI and PAY to the revenue at the moment? Again, good question. Yes, there is a leeway. So it is possible to pause the PRSI and PAYE right now. The revenue are absolutely open to that, but obviously that's still going to be due. If the business is struggling, making sure that either you're putting your team, if the team are not working full hours, maybe you can put them on reduced pay, which obviously reduces the PRSI and PAYE payments that you'd need to be making as well. But it is important to, if you don't have the cash in the business, that you do pause those payments to PRSI and to revenue. And VAT is the same, but you're still liable for them. So it's to map that out cash flow wise for the next 3 months. How are you going to catch back up with those once you've paused? Okay, that's all. Actually, I've got one more in there. Tip: pension companies offering a 3-month holiday in payments with no penalties. So that's come in from one of the attendees. Thanks for that tip. Appreciate that, Kieran. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to attend this. I hope you've got 5 ideas out of that that you're going to work on. And if you found this useful, please make sure that you let others know that these are being run. We're running them daily. So the information is available again on our website, actioncoachireland.com. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for your time.